What is up, guys? I'm George Mossey. This is the Family Chantel Season 4, Episode 3 podcast recap. First things first, River was not in this episode, but if you are looking to find out something about River, this is what you need to do. Go to any streaming service and type in River Knight and check out his newest song that he released. It's called Da Vinci. All right, guys, so let's jump into the podcast. So Winter's made a full recovery, and they're heading back to Atlanta, and Chantel is having doubts about getting back to Pedro because of how their relationship state has been. And Winter is also having doubts about her relationship with Misoma and labeling it. What is it? Are they friends? Are they talking? Are they boyfriend and girlfriend? Chantel believes that they're more than friends because her and Pedro started out exact same way. And just because they haven't met in person doesn't mean that there aren't real feelings. Feelings can build from talking to someone, texting someone, through video calls. And I think Winter is just at the point where she wants to take it slow. She's been through a lot, and getting back into the dating world can be scary. So are we going to actually see Winter and the rest of the family make a trip to Africa this season? That's what we're waiting to find out. We head over to the Dominican Republic with Nicole, and she's working really hard to prepare for the Miss Dominican pageant, which Miss Karen and Chantel thinks that she would be a horrible representation of Miss Dominican, but we will wait and see how that goes and see if she's actually able to do that. One thing that does happen this episode, Nicole has been calling Pedro since this bottle throwing incident, and he has not been taking her calls. This time it's different because Pedro has found out from his mom Lydia that Nicole has actually broken up with Alejandro, sparking Pedro to answer her call. The call doesn't go as planned because neither Pedro or Nicole want to apologize for any of their incidents. And you know, Nicole's incident was throwing a bottle at the family and missing, but still launching it in the air. And Pedro actually physically fought Alejandro on the streets of New York. And unfortunately, nobody wants to apologize or accept responsibility and say that they were wrong. So just because the communication lines have been open, Pedro and Nicole are still not in a good place. The call did not end well. While getting ready for her pageant, Stalin, who is her pageant coach, has convinced Nicole that she needs to do more. She has to change things about herself, which I personally don't feel like it's fair to tell a woman to change anything about herself. But she has decided to get chin injections. And I was not aware that these were a thing because I always thought that people wanted their chin to be smaller. So you didn't want to have a double chin. So she's getting a chin injection, which is going to give her a fuller chin, which she feels is going to increase her chances of winning Miss Dominican. Apparently, it's not a permanent thing. A year and a half, it goes away. So it's kind of like Botox, I guess. Good luck with that, and I hope it goes well. So Chantel arrives back home to Atlanta to trash on the floor and boxes everywhere, which she's confused by, but it's actually strategic. Pedro wants her to see that he was building things with his hands while she was gone because she had made a comment that he was not handy. So he wanted to make sure that she was aware that he is very handy and he is building shelves and taking care of the household and keeping the house running while she was gone. Things turned sour pretty quickly when Pedro reveals to the cameras that he enjoyed not having Chantel at the house. He enjoyed not having, in his words, someone bothering him, which kind of immediately sparked an issue with Chantel because she doesn't want to feel like she's ever bothering her husband. And it's kind of leading us to the fact that he's not opening up. He won't tell Chantel that she's bothering him, but he will tell the cameras and other people that there are issues. Pedro even brings up the phone call with Nicole and tells Chantel that it bothered him and he was upset and he doesn't really want to talk about it, which sparks Chantel to feel like, well, I remember when you used to talk to me about things that were bothering you. You used to open up to me. And ever since he got back from the Dominican Republic, he's not opening up to her and he's very distant. And everyone knows that at work, he's pretty close with everyone at his job, so it makes you wonder if he's opening up to other people and just not Chantel. So in case you guys have been living under a rock and you don't follow any of my posts, Royal and Anjanette are having a baby. So on a baby shopping trip with Glammy, which is a grandmother, but Miss Karen's version of a grandmother, so it's a Glammy, while baby clothes shopping, Miss Karen decides to make sure that Chantel and Pedro are making time for quality time. And I guess what that means is sexy time. And they're making sure that they are intimate together, which is a weird conversation to have, I think, with your mom. But with Miss Karen, it's almost fitting because anytime there's something personal between her kids and whoever they're with, she's right there in it. And I mean, I like that. I feel like being a good mom, sometimes you have to be a little awkward at times to make sure that your kids are doing the right thing. Chantel doesn't take the conversation well because they're not having a good relationship. They're not even sleeping together at this point. So the conversation kind of triggers Chantel to realize how their relationship is definitely not going the way that she wants it to go. We also learn that Miss Karen and Thomas have videos on her phone of how they spend quality time together. So I just want to give y'all a moment to let that sink in, get a visual picture, and then we'll move on. In the closing scene of the episode, which is the most intense scene of this episode, we're watching Chantel make a good conscious effort to do something nice for Pedro. She's cleaned up the house, she's gotten his clothes off the floor, and she's making him breakfast. She makes scrambled eggs, then finds out that he doesn't like scrambled eggs, he likes 6 boiled eggs. She even changes it over, tosses out the old eggs, makes him new eggs, and the conversation goes south pretty quickly when Pedro feels that she didn't put salt in the water. And he even requests twice that she does put salt in the water, even referring to her as woman. And that's pretty crazy because we know that Pedro has always referred to her as Pinky, and he's never really talked to her that way before. The good deed goes completely south when Chantel actually calls Pedro ungrateful, even calling him out for 3 months of dry desert. She says that it all changed when he got back from the DR. And the change he says took place when he got back from the DR was he wanted to do something with his life and take charge and do something positive. But that change in Chantel's view is a negative change in their relationship. So what do you guys think? Do you feel like Pedro is changing for the better? He is more into his career and he is definitely more about making money and doing his part and contributing. But at what point do you want to make sure that your relationship doesn't suffer when it comes to your career? Because Chantel is working 12-hour shifts as a nurse, Pedro's working 12 to 15-hour days. When is there time for a relationship? And that's the question here. So next week we will be watching a housewarming that they are throwing at their new home. And this is where the conversations definitely get serious. So the family is actually going to be there front and center to question them on their relationship issues. And this is where it hits the fan. And hopefully we're gonna get answers about what's really going on. Make sure you guys are watching. Live tweet with me. I'm George Mossey. Again, this is the Family Chantel Recap Podcast, Season 4, Episode 3. And I'll talk to you all really soon.